Hey YouTube, these are my Rayneo Air 2 XR glasses, and I think they might just be the best bang for your buck when it comes to wearable monitor technology. So if you're interested, stick around and we'll get into it. So I've been researching XR glasses fairly extensively. I really couldn't make heads or tails of anything. We all know the Vichers and the X-Reals were, considered the best, but I just couldn't stomach paying $400 for a pair of not smart glasses. But when I saw these offered on Amazon for 200, I was like, man, 201-inch perceived display for $200, that's a no-brainer. I completely just, put all my caution to the wind, and I was like, all right, we're gonna go into these full bore. And here are what I've noticed thus far through my user experience. So first off, I went in with the understanding that there would be edge blurring. It's a 201-inch display. The other guys claim 135. I think maybe somebody else offers 160, but these are 201. And I think the reason why the other guys don't have issues with edge blur is because they're scared and are not offering you the full screen. Now, let me just get this out of the way now and say that if you're buying these for gaming on PC, resize your window. You can get it right in the sweet spot. Even if your fitment's not right, you can just get that window right where it needs to be. And it completely handles any issue you might experience with edge blur. And you're still getting larger than you would with the Vichers or the X-Reals because you're able to utilize more of that screen, which, I mean, on the surface doesn't seem nice. It seems kind of like they didn't do their homework, but it gives you more options because you can just cherry pick that exact view standpoint that you want. And for me, that's actually proven to be pretty nice. Now, I will say when you're playing in borderless or full screen, you're not going to have such a great experience at times if your fitment's not correct. I have a bigger head, big old noggin, and there are some slight issues with the screen rounding at the bottom or top, and there being blur on the corners of the lenses if I don't have these positioned exactly right. And it's fairly finicky and difficult to get the perfect fitment, especially when you lay down and say a pillow is pushing on the corner. It's just a little bit troublesome. However, most of the time, you're not gonna have any issues. All you need to do is resize that window. But you have the option of playing full screen, which I have done in games with less intensive interface or HUD. Those, like, I played Skyrim for a while and Beam.ng and a few other just random, kind of more open world roaming style games. And man, you talk about immersion, like that is an immersive experience. The audio is not terrible either. I thought I would be mainly using my AirPods, and I found myself just sticking with the built-in audio in these glasses. I mean, it's nothing to write home about, but it's not too shabby either. It's loud enough and not a loud environment. Like if you're just at home on the couch and somebody's listening to TV or music at a reasonable volume, you can probably still hear most of everything. However, if you have a lot of noise going on, you probably still would want to use some other headphone, but the audio is sufficient. I wouldn't say that unless you're using their Android app and can utilize whisper mode, you don't have much privacy with the audio because it tends to be audible from the people around you. And whenever you turn it down, say you're laying in bed and you have a spouse or a partner next to you, they will probably be able to hear. And if you turn it down to a volume in which they can't hear, you will be unable to hear more than likely, unless you just have super hearing. I think they've addressed this issue with the other models. I believe they've made advances in the drivers used, but this is sufficient for the most part, for what you'll be doing. but definitely consider having a separate set of headphones that you can utilize. Now, we've talked a lot about gaming. I can't speak on productivity because I'm just not a very productive guy. No, but seriously, I don't, work a desk job, so I can't speak on what they'd be like for working. However, I have utilized them for just, reading online, browsing the web, maybe doing notes on like my iPhone or iPad. And it was fine. There was not really any issue with readability of text. One thing I did notice on the iOS platform is that whenever you are in the light appearance, I guess, during the daytime, you want to decrease your brightness just a bit because colors can be washed out due to the, I guess, brightness being too high. The colors are amazing, and honestly, I've played with the brightness quite a bit. And it's weird that the color gamut changes with each level, and you get a different experience. Different things tend to pop, and I don't know why, but it's just something I've noticed. I found myself, I think there are 9 brightness settings. I usually use the second from the top because these things are bright and they can get hot if you're playing on that max brightness. But I would say the colors were the most vivid, and the experience was the best on about the probably 7 or 8 of 9. I think the real sweet spot for these I found was watching videos off my iPhone 15 Pro laying in bed in landscape mode. The display actually, it was kind of in line with what the Apple's display ratio would have been. So you weren't anywhere near the edges of the screen. It was more like what you would probably get with the Viture or X-Real glasses, that 135-inch screen. And it was just super comfortable. Like, I didn't need to tweak them or move them. It was just a very relaxing. I mean, it was pretty much the main reason I wanted XR glasses was to be able to watch YouTube videos in bed without disturbing my wife. And for that's a real sweet spot that I would say. It has just been, I was surprised after having the issues with the PC aspect of things. Like, I was like, man, what is it going to be like with my phone? And I'll say when you're using it in portrait mode, it's a little wonky because the tops and the bottom of the screen can get cut off. But in landscape, it is just totally awesome. Now, the one thing I don't like about the iPhone is that you can't really see what the hell you're doing. But, that's, get your, video set up and just lay back. Here is the real OP scenario. I found that using the iPad mini and a trackball mouse and a wireless keyboard is just awesome. Like, I literally don't have to do anything or to move. The screen is the perfect size. I have, I can navigate with the mouse. I can just set the iPad to the side. I will say that I have been finding myself wanting for a XR hub or some sort of device so I can have pass-through charging and still have the glasses connected, because they tend to drain device battery, and not terribly, but it definitely is a factor. A couple companies make specific XR docks, and I know that a lot of the glasses manufacturers have their own version. And I would say that is pretty necessary for long-term use of a phone or tablet. It would definitely make your experience better. Or if you have like an ROG Ally or Steam Deck that only has one USB-C port, you're probably going to want some sort of hub. But I have the Legion Go, and I am spoiled to have the 2 USB-Cs, which, other than it not being more difficult to use that bottom port without an adapter, which I just laid the handheld down and detached the controllers and had a blast. But consider some sort of hub or dock. Now, whenever using the iPad mini, I found that again, it kind of changes your display size to match its display, but you get the added benefits of having the DisplayPort side of iPad OS. When using, say, something like an iPad Pro, that is the same idea, just advanced. So I still have both screens going on, but with the conjunction of the Magic Keyboard, I'm able to run my charging into the side and the glasses out the port. And it's just, I could see this being a very productive setup. Now I will say that with the display of the iPad 12.9 being larger, I'm running into the edges a little bit, which isn't ideal, but I tend to, like, I'll send YouTube to the glasses, and I'll have whatever thing I'd be doing, like surfing the web, Amazon, Reddit, on the iPad, and I can just work between the two. Like it's kind of like Windows with a extended display. It takes a minute to get used to, but all the same, it's nice. One thing I would add that is that you kind of want to play with your brightness levels depending on the room you're in, because you can't really see through these lenses at all. I mean, they're very dark, so you're not going to see through to your screen. So you have to make sure it's positioned to where the rims of your glasses are at the top of your display. But it's just like a bifocal. You just look down and you have that screen, you look up, you have the other screen, which is pretty nice. It wasn't what I was expecting going in to have that kind of experience. I think the theme of these glasses is you have the base of a great product, but it requires your input to get it there. Like, you have to make it work for you. Some of the other ones took all of that work out of the equation, but there were sacrifices to get there. These, you have to do a little bit of tweaking, but I think it is totally worth the difference in price. I can't speak on the equivalent X-Real and Vitcher models that are priced similar to these. However, I do know that when I looked at them, their displays were locked behind applications, or, like, I think there was Moonwalker and I can't remember what Vitcher's or X-Real's was respectively, but they both had some form of application that locked up your full display size, which I did not like. These, going in, I knew I would just get that static 201-inch display, and I just figured out how to make that work best for me. And it's been a little bit troublesome to figure out a way to kind of work around that edge blur and to get everything in the sweet spot. However, it is totally doable. Okay, so let's get down to the brass tacks. You're looking at the Rayneo Air 2 because you don't want to spend $400 on a pair of XR glasses, and I get it. But what are you sacrificing to go to that price point? Nothing. You might sacrifice creature comfort and usability aids, but at the end of the day, you are still getting a large OLED monitor that you can wear in your face. Are you going to be disappointed? Potentially. It depends on what you expect. But if you go into this purchase expecting to have to tweak and modify your experience to get it to where you need it to be, you're going to be quite happy. Everything about these is sufficient. I can't say that I really have too many complaints other than the edge blur, but the reason you have edge blur is because they are offering you the full banana. Now, that being said, X-Real and Vitcher and other competitors give you a smaller display to avoid that issue. So they are avoiding the problem. These just give you the option to make it work. Now, for me, playing my games windowed and just cherry picking exactly what I want and getting that fitment as good as I can, it worked fine. I've had a great time. I mean, I play a lot of games, borderless or full screen. And other than having that blurriness in the edges and maybe a little bit of interface difficulty, it's been super immersive. So what you're losing in creature comforts and usability features, you're not really missing that much unless you do have some sort of optical issue, in which I will say that the Vitchers with that, myopia adjustment feature can be a game changer. You're not going to miss much else. I mean, of course, the audio is, less than the others, but it's sufficient. The display is just beautiful. I mean, it's vibrant, it pops, the blacks are inky and deep. It is just very sufficient for what I spent. If I would have spent $175 on these, I would be over the moon. 200, I think, is a fair ask. Now, I know these are routinely $299, which I don't know how I'd feel about that, but for 200, you can't argue, and I do think these go on sale all the time. So, wait. But the difference between these and a $300, $400, $500 pair of XR glasses is really going to be in what you make of it. It's if you make these work for you, they are going to work for you, but you can't go in with the expectation that it's going to be perfect without you having to do anything. So if you want a big display that's not locked behind an application or another device, this is your guy. Plug and play. You can make it work. It's great for relaxing or just hanging out. It will do most of what you want it to. Albeit it's not perfect, it's gonna offer you a lot of bang for that buck. So the question you need to ask yourself is, what do I want? What do I expect? What will I be satisfied with? And if the answer to that is, I want a big stinking display that I can tweak and make work for me, I want an immersive gaming experience with beautiful color gamut and brightness galore, then this is probably a very smart buy. I can't speak on the other entry-level models from the other companies, but I do know that the defining factor for me was the fact that this offered a 201-inch static display that wasn't locked behind some form of XR application to resize the window. And I've had great experience just hooking these up to my iPhone 15 Pro and hanging out on the bed watching a video on YouTube. It just works. I can't complain at all about it. For the price, I think I did well. You're going to basically get whatever you put in, but you have to go in with the right expectations. Like, you can't go with the expectation that these are going to be perfect out of the box, because I will say that them going with the decision to utilize the full display was a bit of a controversial one, because you are going to encounter issues with those edges. I mean, it's just going to happen if you're utilizing the full thing. But if you're playing on a format like PC or anything with a resizable window, you're gonna have a much better time. I mean, with the iPhone in landscape mode, it's not even an issue, because you're basically utilizing the display that you would on the Vitures or X-Reels, because it's like the 135-inch display, because that's the way the resolution and the screen's formatted. So it's like, this is what I see with the 201-inch display on these glasses. And then this is what you see with the other guys. So this versus this, that is like 33%. I'd say having the option of utilizing that other 33% display is kind of nice. It is what it is. You can make the best of it or you can make the worst of it. But if you go in with the expectation that I'm gonna need to do a little bit of this and that to make these things really pop, you're gonna really be satisfied. If you go in with the expectation that these are gonna be amazing and have no issues with the edges being blurry, you're gonna be pissed. So just keep that in mind and make the best purchase necessary, because we all know that our money is scarce, and when we ever decide to treat ourselves with something, we want it to be satisfactory. We want to be happy. So just please curb your expectations and know what you're getting. And if you can make these work for you, they're gonna be great. You won't have any issues with the clarity or the vibrancy. You're just gonna have issues with you using Windows, full screen. You're gonna have edge issues, okay? Just get used to that. But if you can find a workaround or resize your screen, it is a totally usable experience that you'll enjoy, and you'll probably still get 10 or 15% more display out of this setup than you would the other guys. So just keep that in mind, and I hope this video helps you somehow, and I hope that you have a great day and make a great purchase.